Ooh, isn't this just absolutely gorgeous? Let's take a second to admire it. Hello watch friends, Louis from The Whole Cut here. I've been after a gold watch with a red or burgundy dial for a while, probably a musty Cartier, but I'm still too much of a cheapskate bastard to stump up a couple of grand for a decent one. Although I do buy a lot of watches, I'm usually quite restrained and rarely buy a watch on a whim, but buying this watch was actually a spur of the moment decision. It smacked me in the face and I said, "Take my money, good sir." I bought it on Instagram from Enquiries Watches, I think it's called, based in Bristol, UK. So a shout out to them for a silky smooth transaction. Instagram is possibly the single best and worst thing to ever happen to the watch industry. You can open the app every day and see more beautiful watches than you can ever imagine. And also some of the dumbest shit you've ever seen in your life, of course. The problem is, you see the watches and you want the watches. All of them. Or at least I do. And that's what happened with this vintage Roma. A little backstory. Roma is a Swiss watch brand with a history dating back to 1888 when it was first founded by Fritz Meyer in Solothurn, Switzerland. Fast forward 136 years and nobody cares. It's a brand that few people seem to pay attention to. And it has to be said, it's probably because its current catalogue is mostly made up of lame copycat watches. There really is not much to get excited about. This lack of brand awareness and interest means you can find vintage Roma watches very inexpensively. I paid just £95 for this watch, though I'm sure you can find them even cheaper on eBay and other second-hand sites. But ain't this just one of the most stunning dress watches you have ever seen? The gold against the red tapestry dial and those huge lugs, it's ridiculous, but in a good way. Is it an acquired taste? Absolutely. But that's what this channel is all about. Don't get me wrong, I do dabble in the Chinese watches from time to time, and I can be tempted to give my 2 pence on so-called luxury watches. But this is the sort of watch I like to make videos about. Is this watch tat? Arguably, but who cares? It's just for fun. I'm not trying to convince you to buy one. I'm just here to show you something cool that I found. Anyhow, you guys, stop distracting me. Can we just get back to the watch, please? Thank you. The case is gold plated or gold capped. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, it's in pretty nice condition for its age. It's only 35mm in diameter, but those fat lugs make it look quite a bit larger on the wrist. There is a little bit of a gap between the lugs and the strap. The total lug to lug length is about 43mm. This all sounds perfect for my wrist, but it just shows that there is more to a watch than merely its specifications and dimensions. Who'd have thunken it? It's also a little bit thicker at 10mm, again owing to those meaty lugs and the domed crystal. I'm guessing it's plexiglass. The movement is a 17 jewel manual wind movement with an Inca block anti-shock system. These movements were very common in the mid-20th century. You'll see them in all sorts of cheap vintage watches. It seems to run okay, but the trouble with buying cheap vintage watches is that it's easy to buy one with a shop movement that hasn't run in decades or has never been serviced. It could break down at any time, that's the risk you take. It came on this 18mm wide black leather strap with contrasting red stitching. It seems decent enough, but I'm not sure it really suits the watch. Overall, I think it's a wonderful looking watch, if a little bit big for my small wrist. The red against the gold provides such an amazing contrast. How long it will last is another matter. There are very few watch brands that are making watches that look anything like this these days. Brands like Baltic and Furlan Mare make vintage inspired dress watches. They're nice for sure, but I look at them and I'm not 100% convinced. Maybe it'd be different if I had one in the flesh. More generally, I don't know if it's down to the proliferation of micro brands that use the same or at least similar looking cases, dials, crystals, etc. Even though there's still a lot to enjoy, hardly anything is truly unique or interesting these days. What do you think of this watch? Did I find hidden treasure, or is it a load of rubbish? Let me know in the comments down below. That's all I've got time for today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.